南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛。We pay homage to our respected teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay. Wow, nice picture. Having a big TV is nice. Who knows what kind of flowers is this? Huh? Poppy. Yeah, Ang Suk Fa. Poppy. The green bulb is the poppy seed, isn't it? That's where they actually use it for getting the whatever you want to call it. Opium. Yeah. Opium from. Opium. Apina. Yeah. Okay. I love this picture. Wow, so nice. Look at all those seeds. And the pollen on the top. And the green and the yellow leaves. It looks like a northern lights in the background, eh? Bắc Cực Quang. Look like a northern lights. On the TV it shows very well, but not in the book. In the book it just a flat green. But on the TV it's got a lot of depths in there. Nice color. Okay. Yours. Smiles. Everybody has a smile on, and that says it all, right? Nice colors. Cool. Oh, titania, good. Titania. Just a minute, we have to turn up the volume. There you go. There you go.
Hi.
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Very well. Good.
Evening,
Yeah. Evening.
Evening, morning, everyone. I really love the layers of colors in this beautiful photo, and the green actually in the middle stands out a lot. But just now you told me it's a poppy seed, so it's like oh yeah, there's always the positive and the negative. But anyways, I think the green really stands out, and it reminds me of the importance of staying focused and be mindful. And no matter what, even with all the pollens around very fussy, as long as we stay focused and we have a positive mind, even though it's a poppy seed, I think we can do good.
Yes.
Yeah, the intention is very important. So just now when you share with me what flower is it, it really consolidates this thought. The most important thing is to stay focused and have a positive mind.
Good.
And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing this.
Thank you. Yeah, good. Great. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else? It's a very simple picture. Nora? Yes.
It strikes me as about fragility, because you see all those little stamens and you know that they're just very skinny, and I know poppies, the leaves will blow away
Yeah.
in the wind.
Yeah. Poppies are actually very fragile, hey? They are very fragile, and they don't last very long. But the way they blow in the wind, when the wind blows, the way the poppy moves is so beautiful. It's just like a dancer, like a beautiful ballet dancer dancing. And the stamens, when they sort of swivel around, it's just like a bunch of ballet dancers, dancing on the platform of big leaves. Its poppies are so beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Thank you, Nora. Thank you. Hang Suk Fa. Who? Kathy Cameron. Yes, Catherine. Yeah. You have to turn on your mic. Yeah.
I
How-
did.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
For me, this picture is very memorable. It reminds me to be very mindful and very thoughtful. I guess the little colon statements, I really do think that, to me, they were seeds, not the poppy center. But it was something that I guess was so visual that it's important sometimes to not forget where we are. And because there's light there, it helps give us clarity.
Yeah.
The background is very fuzzy and muted, and like you said, the petals fall away. And the petals fall away, but we don't really know where they go. So if we're mindful and we have mindful intentions, we don't always know where that will lead us or who it will fall upon.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
for me.
Yes. How are you doing in Saskatoon?
I love it here. It's very peaceful. It's a very impermanent place.
Yeah, it is. It sure is.
It will not be, the weather never stays for very long. The flowers don't last for more than 2 weeks. You really appreciate the truth.
Yeah, right,
when you
right.
come to live here.
It's beautiful along the river.
It is very,
Yeah,
very beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. When we have a chance to fly out there, we will definitely come and look you up.
Oh, I would be so delighted. Thank you.
It will. I think it will. It will soon happen. Probably in late fall. We probably will
Okay.
go out there when the prisons start to open up.
Very nice.
Yeah, when the prisons start to open up,
Yes.
we probably go out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care. Hi, Isabella.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Catherine. Isabella. There you go.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good evening, skillful and everyone.
Yes.
When I see this picture, the first thing pop up is how simple it is. It only has 2 colors, the yellow and green. But we can say we only have 2 colors, but actually there's different degree of green and different kind of yellow.
Yeah.
And then it's so pretty because it's so simple. If I always think like pretty or something beautiful must be colorful, like a rainbow color and then a lot of color, glitter, and a lot of things. But if I have to keep my life simple, I only need 2 things, maybe happy and peaceful. That's all
Yeah.
I need. I don't need something
Exactly.
more than that.
Yeah. Very
so
good.
The green and yellow may be my only thing I need, which is happy and peaceful.
Yeah. That's very nice. That's very.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's you've been inspired by this picture. Just stay simple life, happiness and peace. Yeah, it's not bad. These 2 things are actually not easy to achieve, really, right? But it's very good things to have in life. Yeah, good, wonderful sharing. Anybody from the floor here? No?
I didn't think of.
Just a minute. They have a mic for everybody. So when you want to speak, you come up and get the mic.
Thank you, Eva. I didn't think of this until I saw it on the screen, because it is different when you see it on the screen.
Yeah.
But it makes me think of a stupa with little sentient beings swirling around it.
Oh, yeah.
And I never actually thought of it until I just saw
it does
now.
look like a stupa, eh?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to
Yeah.
share.
Good. Wonderful. You have anything to share?
I'm just thinking about this poppy because I love that particular flower. And I agree with you. Like, I remember planting it, wanting it to spread. And I had to try a couple of years. And it was so fragile.
Yes.
and it wouldn't take. But when it did take,
It just go
it
wild.
takes.
Yeah, yeah.
And now it's deeply rooted all over our property, and yeah. So I like that. I think about the Dharma, about how sometimes it's hard to take, but then when it does grasp,
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
got it. It
Yeah,
stays.
you got it. Yeah, right,
Well,
yeah.
I don't think you've got it, but it stays.
it stays. Good, good. Wonderful. Great. Anybody else? No? Okay. Wai-Fun, yes. And then, okay. And then Michelle later on. Wai-Fun, yes. Wai-Fun first. Sorry.
Skillful and everybody, good evening.
Good morning, yes.
I think that these flowers, they have prepared well, very well prepared for themselves, but they still need conditions. Just like the bees, butterflies, or
Yeah,
wind
right.
blows.
Yes.
So I think just like us, we want to have the sweet fruit, or just like this flowers fruit, but we still need conditions, just like we have to do the wholesome things to have a wholesome heart. Like that.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Great. Michelle.
Hi everyone. Hi,
Good
Skillful.
morning. Yes.
The color of the photo is, I feel like, so refreshing,
Yeah.
and the contrast is very rich.
Yes.
The little yellow seed in the middle for me is like thoughts and experience, and the green in the middle of the column is like being standing very still there with faith, mindfulness, awareness, and concentration.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow petal shows the beautiful details of the color, and the shape looks like the petals. The shape looks like a yellow bird to me.
Oh, yellow bird. Yeah, it does look like a bird flying, eh? It does. Yeah. Good. Great. Thank you. Nice. Anybody else? Even if a small group, it's such wonderful sharing, isn't it? Yeah. Good. Anybody else? No? Okay. This poppy seed, this poppy flower, as we said, poppy flowers are actually very fragile. But what you get out from poppy seeds are actually very powerful. Yeah? So just the poppy plant itself could produce such a fragile flower, but yet the fruit that it carries is so powerful, and it could be very useful in many aspects, especially in medicine. It's very, very useful. So never underestimate a fragile item in your life. Never underestimate. Your weakness, if you use it right, maybe you can turn it into a very strong strength, But if the strength is not used properly, not correctly, it could be very harmful. It could bring on a lot of harm and hurt to yourself, to others. That's how I see from this picture. When I look at this picture again, this is how I see it with this poppy flower. Yes, it is beautiful, but don't be misguided by the beauty of the flower. It could sometimes it could mislead you, and sometimes it could trick you. Sometimes it could cheat you. Yeah, so don't be cheated by it. But yet you don't have to despise it either, because it's got its strength. You don't have to despise it. You don't have to say, "Oh, I don't like poppy." I remember when I first came here, because I've never seen a poppy flower. We only saw those Remembrance Day poppy flower, right? The red ones, because my brother always put one on jacket around that time of the year, because he used to be in the army. Anyway, so I only saw those, and I never knew what that was. But when I first came here, I see these flowers, especially on the highway. At that time, on the highway, there were a lot of poppy flowers. I said, wow, beautiful flowers. Yellow, orange, dark red, with a black center, so pretty. And when they're blowing in the wind, it's just like flying and dancing. I said, oh, I need to plant this. I need to plant this. So I planted some of this, but the other sifu didn't like it because they are poppies. They despise the poppies. So then we stopped planting them because they said, no, don't plant poppies in Epolam. I think that is actually a wrong concept about poppies, you know. And there's a lot of, as I said, poppies are very fragile, but poppies are very useful, right? So that's a wrong concept about poppies. You should never plant poppies in here. So I'm glad that Tan Sifu actually planted some wildflowers for the bees last year, or the year before she planted, and then last year it was blooming. It's all poppies. It was so pretty, and yeah, and then the bees love them. The bees just love these. It's got so much pollen for the bees. Yeah, I mean, anything you look at it from another aspect, you see a totally different story. So don't always tunnel vision ourselves. Okay. All right then. Let us look at this. Continuous mindfulness of our thoughts brings skillful actions, which will in turn manifest into skillful actions, skillful intentions, which will in turn manifest into skillful actions. I think you're all very experienced with mindfulness, so I really don't need to talk about mindfulness. But what are we going to talk about if we don't talk about mindfulness tonight? So, anybody have any thoughts about this passage? Continuous mindfulness of our thoughts brings skillful intentions, which will in turn manifest into skillful actions. Anybody have any insight into this passage, or you just want to go on? Quiet means no insight, no comments. Okay, Irene, yes. Hello, good evening, yes.
What I'm looking at that, when I see a continuous mindfulness, that reminds me about the samasati.
Ah, yes.
Without samasati, and then it's very hard to have a right view on the things that we see. Even though based on experience, we still have a bad experience or a good experience. It's still, clinging to our
Yes.
and then often judging the things that we see.
Yes.
So, and then, but how do I say? It's just the samasati is just a thought in my mind.
I see. You're right. Samasati, that's mindfulness, the right kind of mindfulness. Sama, that means correct. Sati, that means mindfulness. Samasati. Yes, samasati is actually very important. That's why continuous mindfulness, yes, of our thoughts. Good. Thank you. Yes. Grab a mic, please. I think you should put the mic in the middle so that. There you go. Yeah, great.
Okay, I just want to say that the word continuous is a bit daunting to me.
Daunting.
Yeah, I'm happy when I have some mindfulness, and I actually do feel that with even some mindfulness, a little mindfulness, it helps reduce that sort of impulsive behavior where
Yeah.
we just kind of go out and,
Yeah.
and live and
Yeah,
do
yeah,
things
right.
without
Yeah,
any
right,
thought
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
But with some mindfulness, I feel like now I have more time to process and think and choose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that.
And continuous is very daunting.
A little daunting.
Can you imagine, you have little mindfulness, you are already so happy. Can you imagine if you have continuous mindfulness? Oh,
I
that would be
can
a
be
happy angel here.
I can be very hopeful.
Yeah, good. So, just leave it on that, yeah. Anybody else? Continuous mindfulness. No? This is an interactive session. Come on. Hey, people. We have 23 people. Okay. Yeah, you're all waiting. Mindfulness. Where does mindfulness come from? Yeah, the mind, of course. Oh, darn. I forgot to animate it. Okay, never mind. Forgot to animate it. Then, so I give you the answers. The mind, it is the mind. Where is the mind? The mind is the starting point. The mind, when it starts, is you're working. When you, what it means, it is the starting point. Is if you want to bring happiness, if you want to understand your mind, if you want to change yourself, if you want to correct, you want to transform, you want to transcend, whatever you want to do. If you want to live a better life, a happier life, it has to start from the mind. Because material-wise, it cannot bring you that kind of happiness that will stay. Okay, so that the starting point is from the mind, at the mind level. And the mind also is the focal point because you are focusing on understanding the mind. Looking at the mind, understanding it, knowing it, and noting it. So that is the focal point. And then at the end, it is the highest point. The highest point is when one gets liberated, the mind reaches its highest in a way of like perfection, complete eradication of all the fetters, all the taints. So it's highest in its clarity, highest in its purification, in its purity, highest in its focus, and highest in its non-bias. Whatever you want to give it is highest there. So the mind, for us, the mind is everything. The mind is where the wholesome qualities are there. And also, the unwholesome qualities are there. The mind is where all the good karmas are there, and also all the bad karmas are there. So, everything is in the mind. Everything is from the mind. How we live our life, how we see our lives, how we look at people, how we deal with people, how we interact with people, everything is from the mind. Nothing else. Okay? So how can we actually train our mind or teach our mind? What is the best way to teach the mind? So the best way to really teach the mind is first start to know about it. Start to know about that, and I don't know whether you experience that. I'm sure you will experience it. You have already experienced it because you have been meditating. You start to, and you would, wow, really? You are like that, right? Right. Everybody nods. Really, you are like that? So that's the starting point, right? You understand. You know it. You know it. So it is so close to us, but yet we don't know it is there. But only when you start to develop, you start to educate, you start to cultivate that awareness, that mindfulness, then you start to have a glimpse of yourself about this mind, or about the state of the mind, or about the quality of the mind. Anyway, let us just use the mind. So that is the starting point, is knowing about it, knowing about the mind. Okay? And then after knowing it, what should we do in order to actually correct and change it? We need to start to direct it, right? We need to start to direct it. You go this, you go, if you want to go east, you have to turn left. If you want to go west, you have to turn right. Then you're directing it. So when, at the time when we start to direct the mind, that we need to be very focused. And that's the very important point there. That's the focal point. Because whether you're going off the road, whether you're going to veer off from the path, or you are going to stay on the path, that's the focus there. Okay, that's how you direct it, how the mind is directing you to stay on or to veer off. So that becomes the focal point, right? That becomes the focal point. And so that focal point, we could be very strong. I say, okay, I'm not going to veer off, no matter what, I'm not going to veer off. But sometimes it could be very weak, right? If we sort of like being tempted, right? Being tempted. Oh, I'm a vegetarian. Yeah, you're a vegetarian. You're vegetarian, okay. But when you go out with all your friends, and they're eating chicken, and they're eating crabs, king crabs, and they're drinking red wine, and you just have a coleslaw, or you just have a whatever salad, or the more you get is French fries or endless fries, and you look at their plate and you look at your own plate, you say, oh, I become very weak. Can I have some king crab? Can I have some chicken? Then you lose that focus. Because the mind could be very strong sometimes and could be very weak. And I remember when I became a vegetarian in '84, and whenever my colleagues get passed in the exams, and they always like invited us to the whole gang would go out for dinner, and a lot of time it's like seafood and whatnot. Big feast, 12 dishes, Chinese meal, it's like that. So I went once, I went twice, and I just sat there and looking at them eating. And they said, aren't you going to eat? I said, no. You just eat a little. It's not going to do any harm to you. I said, no, I'm not going to eat. Are you sure? I said, no. So, first time, they don't make special dish for me. Second time, they don't make special dish for me. Third time, they said, are you coming? I said, I'm thinking whether to go or not. They said, but we have ordered vegetarian meal dish for you. I said, oh, really? They said, yeah. I don't know how vegetarian they are, but we have ordered. I said, okay, I'll go. I went one more time, I think. And they did actually order tofu and vegetables. They're really kind. But after the third time, I said, guys, I really don't want to go. Because I don't like, I really don't like eating like that, big feast, and I don't enjoy that kind of environment, rowdy and all that. They said, yeah, you are a lone wolf. I said, well, I'm a vegetarian, so that's why they always make fun of me, giving me a nickname of Zai Gu, like vegetarian lady, veggie lady, Zai Gu. They always call me a Zai Gu at the time, but it could be weak. It could be weak. You can easily fall off from that path easily. But see how you direct your mind. So it's not easy, yeah? Really, huh? Okay, and then the third one is freeing it. The freeing it, as I said just now, that's the highest point, is completely freeing it. So it's total liberation. And that total liberation is really freeing from all entanglements. And all entanglements, when you are free of all entanglements, oh, come on, how much more free can you get? You can't get any more freer, right? So that's really total liberation. When would total liberation happen? When would it happen? Just, huh? Not this life, come on, people.
When you have continuous.
Mindful. Continuous mindfulness. Yeah, when you have continuous mindfulness, but still, you still have to have a lot of merits and very, very strong samadhi and very strong wisdom, right? So, but liberation happens, it can happen at any moment. At any moment like this. At any moment. May not be this lifetime. But it could happen. Who knows, right? It could happen. So have that faith. So you can see this teaching the mind is really educating it, training it, and correcting it, and leading it, and directing it. So that's why the Buddha said, the mind, the way to train the mind is the only way. It's the only way towards liberation. And he said this, sati, mindfulness. Of course, samasati, right? The correct mindfulness. He said, this is the only way. Ekayano mako. This is the direct path. So he said the direct path is cultivating this correct mindfulness. Of course, when he talked about correct mindfulness, there are actually a few ways to develop this mindfulness using the physical body, using the Vedana, the sensations, feelings, or using the Dhamma, or using the Chitta, the mind. So the four Satipatthana, right? The four foundations of mindfulness. So this is a very ancient technique. And I tell you, mindfulness is not just for Buddhists. Mindfulness has been existing for ages. But the Buddha actually really elaborated it and perfected it. And so he actually said, this is the direct path. And the direct path to what? To total liberation. So, Of course, the right mindfulness, samasati, and right actions and the right intention, sammasankappo, they are all developed basing on really mindfulness. Anytime, anywhere, with anybody, this is applicable to everybody, to anybody. Whether you have whether you have different faith or different religion doesn't really matter. But we all need mindfulness, the right kind of mindfulness. So, sati. You look at this sati. So, sati, mindfulness, right? So this samasati, I should have written down samasati. So sati, this word, mindfulness, appears everywhere in the Buddha's teachings, everywhere. And no matter whether it's this Mahayana, whether it's Theravada, whether it's the Tibetan, it really doesn't matter. It's everywhere, okay? And samasati, you can see it a lot of different teachings across the whole Nikaya or Agama. And we can see sati spreads over to in the Eightfold Noble Path, right? So you should be able to remember the Eightfold Noble Path. I'm going to ask you later on, don't worry. Be prepared for the test, okay? Jeopardy or whatever you want to call it, okay? So that is in the Eightfold Noble Path. That is the seventh factor. And then it is also one of the three pillars of practice, the practice of samadhi, okay? And then sati is being taught also in the seven factors of enlightenment, okay? Chakokji. And also sati is being mentioned in the five spiritual faculties, Mgan, Mlek. So you can see sati, mindfulness, is everywhere. These are the core teachings of the Buddha, right? And it's everywhere. And so let us start to look at them. That means you cannot do without sati anywhere in your practice as a human being. You cannot do without sati. So now let us look at this sati in the first category, in the Eightfold Noble Path. So, Eightfold Noble Path. Who can give me the first factor? Waifun, are you going to say something? Yeah, okay.
Mindfulness.
Oh no, that's the seventh one. Okay, Irene. Irene.
Right view.
Right view or right understanding. You remember this Pali term for right view?
Forgot.
Samadhi.
Samadhi, yeah.
Right understanding or right view. And then, samadhi. And then the second one is what? Motivation.
Right.
Okay, right thought or motivation or intention. I like the word intention. Or motivation is also good too. Motivation, intention. That's the second one. What is the Pali term? Sammasankappa. Sammasankappa. Okay, that's the right intention. What is the? So what these two belong? Which category? I'll ask you later on. Okay. And then what is the third one? Right speech? Okay. What is right speech in Pali term? Samavacha. Okay. Okay. So what is the fourth one? Right action. Okay. What is the Pali term? Samakamanta. Okay. You know, Wednesday people got all the tests. It's about time you get some tests. You know. Okay. And the fifth one is right. Very good. Livelihood. Yes. What is the Pali term? Sama avijja. Ajiva. Sama ajiva. Okay. Then the next one, the sixth one.
Right effort.
Right effort. Good. What is the Pali term? You forgot. Samavayama. Remember the Pali terms too. Yeah? Okay. And then what is that? What is seventh? Mindfulness. Yes. What is the Pali term? Samasati. You think there will be another term? Samasati. Okay. And the last one, the eighth one. Quok? Right concentration. What is right concentration, Pali? Sama samadhi. Okay. Okay, so, you know, this right speech, right? You know, right speech, it actually has how many different kind of speech in there? You should be able to remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Recall from your memory. How many? 4. Good. Which 4? Right. Is there a mic there? Use a mic. Not to lie, yes.
No lying, no backbiting.
Yep.
No harsh words.
No harsh. Yep.
And, oh no, somebody help me with the fourth one. I can't remember the fourth one.
Idling.
Ah, gossip. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Gossip.
thank you.
Yeah. Gossiping. Remember 4, okay. What about right action? How many with right actions? Which in the 5 precepts are right actions? What is the first in the 5 precepts? Not to? Oh gosh. What? Strangle. Not to kill first, yes, not killing. What about the second one? Not to steal, yeah. And then the third one? Not to lie is for speech. Sexual misconduct, yes. Yeah? So right actions, remember that, okay? Okay, then, and right livelihood. So you all understand what is right livelihood, right? Hopefully. That means you actually take on career, professions, not actually unwholesomeness. I remember I got a phone call the other day, 2 weeks ago maybe. A young man from Hong Kong called me up. He said he noticed that his boss was lying, but his boss was very helpful to him. But he was very clean in the company, but he was lying a lot to the other friends, and borrowing money and all that. So he asked me, should I stay on in the firm or should I not? What would you think? Stay on? Keep working there? Keep working there?
It also depends what kind of job it is. But
I think it matters if it impacts his ability to do the job, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Try to help your boss and correct him?
Try to help the boss and correct him. That's very good, Nora. That's actually very good to actually tell your boss not to lie.
it also depends on how it's impacting you.
Yeah. Of course, it's how impacting you, yeah. If you don't feel correct, if you don't feel right? And he asked me, he said, okay, if I work for a boss who is actually, for example, making money because of cheating, but I'm not helping him to cheat. I'm just working in the company. So he said, should I quit? Should he quit? Kwok said yes.
I think if you're contributing to the company and the company is dishonest and cheating, then you're part of that. So
Yeah. You should quit, yes. What about if you're working in the casino and you're just a janitor? You quit? You would quit? You're just a janitor. You're just cleaning floors. You're not encouraging people to bet, to gamble. Huh?
Walk into a clean place.
Walk into the clean place. Kwok said he prefers to walk into a clean place. You're supporting his behavior. You're supporting their business. Your salary comes from the proceeds of the gambling games, yes. It's hard, isn't it? So I explained to him, when they're in a murder, there is a first degree murder, there is second degree murder, there's manslaughtering, and what else? Third or fourth or fifth degree, right? Or whatever. So, first degree murder, of course, you kill that person, you premeditated. And then second degree or third degree or fourth degree, that means you actually, what? You're not premeditating, but you're supporting, right? For example, you're just driving the car and the other guys kill somebody else. So you committed a crime too, right? So we need to be very careful with right livelihood. I don't know whether you heard this story before. You probably said that I haven't told this story before. Many years ago, I think almost 20 years ago, when I first started teaching, I went to a friend's house in Chilliwack, and have a very small group at that time because they wanted me to go. That's how it started on Tuesday. They had Tuesday book reading Buddhist books. So they wanted me to be there. So I started teaching. I started teaching the Noble Eightfold Path. And when we were talking about right livelihood, there were a couple there. And I asked them about examples of right livelihood. And so I asked them, okay, so they gave me all sorts of examples. And then I said, what about running a farm? Is running a farm right livelihood? Like what you call, like with chickens and all those, with cows and cattle and goats. He said, yeah, it's a right livelihood. I said, that's not a right livelihood. It is a right livelihood. We look after our chickens like as if they are our families. I said, do you eat your families? They didn't like it. They never came again. They never came to the Dhamma talk. Honestly, do you eat your families? They said, no, we raise them in very humane way, and we kill them in very humane way. I said, is there any killing called killing in humane way? That's crooked, isn't it? It's crooked. Any killing cannot be humane, especially it's for your food, right? And he said, I said, do you eat your families? And they just had their eyes wide open. Of course, they didn't like it, right? They never appear. They disappear completely. But that was. So I was, I was very straightforward. I was, I'm this kind of person. Right? I'm a very straightforward person. I mean, I can speak a Dhamma in a way to please others, right? I can. It's not right. So, right livelihood is, one has to be very, very careful. And remember I told you about selling liquor and beer and whatever, remember? How many lives without hands? 7 only? Really? Oh. Huh? How many? How many? 韓師傅500世 500 lives. Serving anything to hold any liquor. 500 lives without hands. You're not serving liquor, but serving containers for liquor. 500 lives.
That's the first time I've heard this.
Oh yes, I bet you. This is the first time you heard it. You see, I told you about generosity, right? Yeah, that's what one monk said. I talk about generosity all the time. I talk about dana all the time, and every time I talk about it, and the people look at me as if that I only started talking about it this time. They've never heard it before, but he said, I've been teaching for like 30, 40 years, and every time I talk about dana, every time I talk about giving, every time I talk about generosity, but they didn't hear it. So, yes, I haven't told that story before.
I heard it. I really did hear it today.
Yeah, 500 lives, no hands. So, okay, so right effort, you know what is right effort, right? What do I like to use? What kind of example I like to use for right effort? Gardening. What, planting flowers? Planting wholesome seeds and then getting rid of all the weeds. Yeah, picking out all the weeds, right? Yeah, I like to use that example. Remember that piggy pulling out the weeds, yeah? So you can see these Eightfold Noble Path, I highlighted them with 3 colors. So the 3 colors are the 3 pillars of practice. Okay, the previous slide that we looked at, the 3 pillars of practice. The first one is the right understanding, and the right thought is the practice or the cultivation of
Wisdom.
wisdom. Good, Irene. What is Pali word for wisdom? Panya.
Panyaya.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, what about the one in blue? Right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration.
Right concentration.
Right concentration. So, what's the Pali word for right concentration?
Samadhi.
Samadhi. Good. So, what are the three in white? Sila. Yeah, sila. Precepts, morality, ethical conduct. So these three pillars, you see, the three pillars actually are the practice of the Eightfold Noble Path. And the Eightfold Noble Path is the last factor of the Four Noble Truths, right? The path. So you can see they are all interrelated. They're all interrelated. So then we start to look at these the three pillars. Actually, the Buddha spent the whole 45 years in his Dhamma life to teach one way or another, or these three things. Okay? And this is the path. So you can see these 8 factors actually helping us to really progress and perfect in these 3 aspects. Okay? So do not think that these 8 factors are linear. They are not linear. They are actually all interrelated together. Oh, I forgot to put in a diagram. It's, with right understanding, you connect. You connect to right thought, right speech, and it all affects each one of them. Okay, so these 8 factors are all like intertwined together. So it's not linear. Okay, so remember that. Okay, then the next one is the 7 factors of enlightenment, 七覺支. So, who knows the 7 factors? The Bojjhangas. You should all remember. You should all know.
The first one is sati.
You're very good. First one is sati, mindfulness. Okay, sati. 憶念覺知, sati. So what's the second one? Investigation, yeah. So you know the investigation in Pali term? Vachaya, Dhamma Vachaya. So the second one is investigation. That means you investigate the truth pertaining to the nature of reality, impermanence, cause and effect, conditions arising. Okay, so investigation of the nature of reality. So the third one of the 7 factors, which is actually very important, energy, which is efforts, virya, right? Energy. Okay, so when you're all developed in these, then you will naturally come to a place where you will start to have some joy. Joy. What is joy in Pali term? No, sukha is happiness. Piti. Okay, that's piti, that's joy. That because you practice Dhamma, then naturally there will be this joy. And with this joy, it brings on tranquility. Good. What is tranquility? Pasati. So passaddhi, that means relaxation, not relaxation in a way of like after massage you relax. No, it's really there's no tension in body and mind. So tranquility, like very peaceful, very quiet. And then the next one is, sorry. The next one is, you saw it already. Come on. Concentration, very good. Samadhi is waiting to come back. Concentration, samadhi. Okay, and the last one. Upekkha. What is upekkha in English? Equanimity. Good, Michelle. Upekkha, equanimity. So what is equanimity? What is upekkha? What does it mean? Balance. Why, how can you maintain balance? Because? Not reacting, because then you start to, because you see things the way they are. Yeah. You see things the way they are. So you're not reacting, you're accepting it without craving, without anger, without ill will. So this is, then you maintain a very balanced mind. That's the 7 bojjhangas. You see, sati is in there, and being in the first factor. You can see how important sati is. Okay, the next one is the 5 indriyas. The 5 indriyas. So what is the first one? Anybody knows the 5 indriyas? Mgan? Mei Fun is counting. Wai Fun is counting. No? The first one, okay, I'll give you a hint. Start with F, ends with H. Good, faith. Okay. What is Pali term in faith? Start with S, end with A. Saddha, yeah, saddha. Remember I correct you, not saddha. Saddha, saddha. Faith, right? So what is the second one in the 5 spiritual faculties? Nobody knows? Nobody knows? Okay.
In Chinese, people in Chinese.
Okay, you tell me in Chinese. Okay, you tell me in Chinese.
停
Huh?
停 勤力個
Oh, can, qing. Okay, I can. Yeah, effort, virya. I thought you will know it in English, Irene. Okay, virya. Okay, that means efforts. Like, remember that effort means like pulling weeds, planting seeds. Okay? Remember, always this effort means pulling weeds, planting wholesome seeds. And then the third one, you should all be able to guess. Mindfulness, Michelle said, right? So sati, or sati could actually have another meaning. You can actually define it as memory. You recall, you remember. So when you wander off, and you're sort of enjoying that wandering off, and all of a sudden you remember you should what you should be doing, right? I'm supposed to be here, sitting, or I'm supposed to be here listening to Dhamma talk, and I wander off. That you recall that memory that what you're supposed to be doing. So that's also a functionality of sati, okay? Being able to remember or recall. So what is the fourth one? That comes with mindfulness. After being very mindful, after being very still, then you start to develop a very focused mind, concentration, stillness of the mind, samadhi. And then after this samadhi, when there is such a stillness of the mind, there's so much sedimentation, so much filtering, so much purification going on, then you definitely will reach a place where you become
Panya,
yeah,
wisdom.
wisdom, wisdom, right? Panya. So understanding, comprehending the truth, and when you start to comprehend the truth, you start understand more about the truth. You become more equanimous, upekkha. So upekkha got strengthened. And when upekkha gets strengthened, then you start again with faith, effort, mindfulness, stillness. It's all like they all intertwine with each other. Remember, these are all listed out like this, but they are not, they go like this all the time. Okay? So with sattva and wisdom, they are so much together. Without faith, you will not practice on this path. And because of faith, you will start walking, and putting effort in. And with such a strong effort, you start to build up this very, very strong mind. I will say no to unwholesomeness. I will say yes to wholesomeness. And I will abide by my morality. So, and then you keep on a strong practice, then definitely it will bring very strong focus, stillness of the mind. So efforts and stillness of the mind are very, very much together, and faith and wisdom are very much tied together also. Okay, they have such a strong tie with each other. And look at mindfulness. It seems that it is on its own, but it is not. It ties everything together. Right? Agree? Without mindfulness, you can't do anything. You don't get anywhere. You can't get anywhere. Okay? So, samasati. Samasati is really, when you develop such a strong mind with such wholesome practice, that stillness eventually will transform to become really samasati. In the beginning, you are developing sati. Sati, be aware, this sati. But with all these faculties coming together, then you are naturally going to develop samasati, not just sati, right? And this samasati, we call it sama. Why do we call it sama? Because with samasati, you will notice when you start to veer off, and you notice, oh, that's wrong. I come back here. Okay, so you will not veer off to the unwholesome path. You won't go there. Or when you really go there, if you have a very strong sati, and hopefully at that time, that sati comes into play, and you remember. And then the samasati sets in, you bring yourself back. So when you develop this sati, you will start to recognize, and you will start to think in a very different way. In a way with more Dhamma behind your mind all the time. You asked me such a question before, remember? After one's half-day Sunday meditation, said you were asking it on behalf of your friends. What was your question? Is when you encounter something in your life, do you always have to think in the perspective of the Dhamma? Something like that, right?
Yeah, like when to look kind of at the exterior comings and goings of things, and when to look at just, okay, this is just arising and passing, small.
That's with samasati. When you develop samasati, it naturally comes. You actually start to look at it from a Dhammic point of view, right? That explains, right? So because why? With the development of samasati, with the progress of reaching samasati, your mind becomes more and more sensitive. Your mind becomes clear. And when you want, you will have a very, very sharp analytical power. And that analytical power is not analyzing the superficial one. It's really analyzing from the Dhamma point of view. Okay? So it is actually very, very, very strong, a very strong mind at that time. So that's why the Buddha said, when somebody is really cultivating samasati and walking on this path, they are called Mahapurusa. You know Mahapurusa is like great beings. Maha, that means great, right? Purusa, beings.
So then it's not really a matter of distinguishing between...
Can you put on your mic, please? Yeah.
So then, Sifu, if I go back to that question, then it's not really a matter of distinguishing the exterior from the interior. It's just you hone in on exactly that piece when you need it.
There is no exterior, there is no internal, there is no external. Everything is internal, everything is external.
Thank you.
Right? Good. So, all right. So samasati. So you can see samasati will really change you from a ordinary being to become a noble person. Area. Right? So this is a path of developing to become a noble person. And that is really a super being. It's not ordinary being, okay? So with mindfulness, and you can see this is the way. And because the Buddha said this is a direct path, the direct path of helping us to do what with mindfulness, with sati or with samasati. What is the most important aspect that mindfulness help us? Is the first one is really help us to surmount the sorrow and lamentation, remove them, remove all this, right? When you become mindful, if you're sad, if you're sad, if you are like very down, when you become mindful of your sadness, when you become very mindful of your depression, at that moment when you become mindful, that little moment, you are not sad, you are not depressed anymore. That's why continuous mindfulness is important, because the next moment you don't want to be sad and depressed. And the next moment, you see, that's why continuous mindfulness is so important. Because why? We are ordinary beings. We definitely have emotions. We definitely have ups and downs. And we definitely sometimes we forget. But once we remember, we hope that we can remember more with more moments of remembering. So we don't drown ourselves by those emotions. You see, people with severe depression, with severe anxiety, why? Because they let themselves be drowned by their own emotions. they don't know how to pull themselves out. And by the time they wanted to pull themselves out, maybe it's already, they are in deep water, right? So don't let yourself to be drowned by those emotions, not even a bit. Be very mindful and just, help yourself to pull yourself out, okay? And then the second one is what? Is the disappearance, because if we can surmount those sorrow and lamentation, definitely that will be the disappearance of dukkha and unhappiness and dissatisfaction and discontent. So you can see why the Buddha said this is the direct path to liberation, right? Direct path to liberation. And without this path, you can't go anywhere. So you can see this is really, when we commit ourselves to walk on this path, despite all the difficulties, eventually one day, I think, definitely we will get there at the end of the road, definitely. We'll meet there one day. Don't worry. Definitely we'll meet there. Otherwise, why would the Buddha bother to actually to teach for so long, right? And why would he actually appear as a human being? Why? There must be a reason for him to appear, to show us the path, to show us it's possible. And he appeared not as a saint. He appeared as a ordinary human being. So he showed us that it is possible. So don't give up hope, okay? So how powerful the mind is and what's the problem of the mind? I want you, if you have, I'm going to actually attach a document to the video later on. It's a sutta, okay? It's called, the whole sutta, the mind, the name of the sutta is called The Mind. So it is in the Nikaya, and I'm just extracting two very little passages. It's not a very long sutta, but it's longer. If I have to put the sutta on the PowerPoint, it probably takes like 15 slides, so I didn't put them all on, but I pick out this particular ones. It is in the Uddannavagga book 31. So he says, the mind is the leader of its faculties, and the mind is swift, and the mind is the ruler. If one has either spoken or acted with evil intent, he will experience suffering, as he whose head was cut off by a wheel. Does it sound very familiar? Compared to? Yeah, Dhammapada verse 1. What's the difference is the last part, right? It's the bull's cart following the footprints of the bulls, right? That's the Dhammapada verse 1. So if here is even more serious. Is he whose head was cut off by a wheel, right? Okay. So that is the first passage that I pick out from here, showing you how powerful that mind is and how powerful this poppy flower could be, right? And then the second passage that follows this passage is the mind is the leader of his faculties, the mind is swift, the mind is the ruler. If one has either spoken or acted with pure intent, he will find happiness as surely as one's shadow follows one's track. That's Dhammapada number 2, verse number 2. So you can see how powerful that mind is. If it falls into the, as we said, if we falls into the wrong hand, or if it falls into the right hand, falls in the right place, wrong place, it ends up with completely, totally different result, right? So it's just like this poppy flower. It could be very fragile, it could be very weak, but it could be very strong. But see where you put it, where you plant it, where you use it, how you use it, right? So, mindfulness. So remember, mindfulness is a path for us to help ourselves, to liberate ourselves, to bring brightness into our life, and to change how we see things, how we motivate ourselves, and how we perform, how we live our life. Isn't it pretty? That's a full moon. It's a full moon day from a cell phone picture I took 2 weeks ago. 6 o'clock in the morning. So, that's it for tonight. Good? You have anything to say? You all know about mindfulness, right? Yeah. So memorize the 7 Bojjhangas. I'm going to test you next week. Okay? The 5 Indriyas. All right? Good. So make sure you are very fluent. Next week you just have to go blah, 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 like this. All right? Okay. Good. So let us dedicate the merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, practice them, and help themselves to liberate from their own disenchantment, sufferings, all the fetters, and be freely, ultimately be free and happy and peaceful.